Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to get this going. Usually wait till like 1 or 2 people come on and then I tell them everything we're going to do. The first thing we're going to do is start going through this list, and then I'm going to start telling you what tools we need. If you guys look on the toolbox back there, the toolbox should be clearly labeled with what you're going to find in there. Now that word might not line up with what you know it to be, so if you have any questions, ask me or Regan, and she's going to help you find all the materials that we need here. So, good morning, TikTok. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I have the crew from Maker Girl Mania here today. Everybody say hi. Very enthusiastic hi from the teenagers this early in the morning. Very special day because we are prepping for the event Maker Girl Mania that is in Clarkson, Michigan at Clarkson High School on April 12th. What are the hours for that?
2 sessions will be 9 to 12, and then...
Come on over here. You got the logo, and you're making my hair pop today. So.
Okay, so we have 2 sessions. It'll be April 13th on Saturday from 9 to 12, and then 1 to 4. Our registration is going to be coming out very shortly. You can check us out on Facebook, Maker Girl Mania.
So what is Maker Girl Mania?
So it is a day for girls kindergarten through 7th grade where we give them access to learning about all different facets of engineering, coding, computer science. They get to do a lot of hands-on activities. We have a slew of different things, 25 or so different hands-on activities for them to make, take, and tinker with.
That's awesome. If you guys were wondering if I was going to throw these guys into the deep end on day 1, the answer is yes, we definitely are. So I have a lot of experience being in front of a camera, but these guys don't, so they might be looking at me funny the whole time. That's fine. I don't care. So we're here today to show these guys how to set us up for the upholstery projects we're going to work on in Maker Girl Mania, and we have a list of jobs for them to do. I'm going to be wearing the camera from point of view style so that you can see what my hands are doing. We're going to be showing these kids the different tools that you have to use, everything we need to set up, how to measure for materials, how to cut materials, and how to get everything together before we begin our first project. So if you have questions about anything that we cover, put them in the comments. We'll have someone on admin reading out the questions out loud so we'll be able to answer them for you as we go. Do you guys have any questions?
I'm ready to get going.
Okay, great. We've got a couple hundred people on here already, almost 400 people joining us today, so welcome. I'm going to flip this around. All right, guys, so let's look at this list. So we have to tear down these chairs in order to do that. In order to be able to tear down these chairs, we need a specific set of tools. So I'm going to need staple removers, pliers, scissors, and are you guys comfortable with razor blades?
Yes.
Yes, razor blades, in order to be able to tear these down. But before we tear them down, we have to measure for materials. Who wants to be on the measuring job? What do we got?
Let's go.
This is, so I'll put the twins on this chair here, and we'll put 2 more friends over here on this chair. Here we go. So when you're measuring for material on a piece of furniture, think about things in terms of rectangles, first of all. Furniture comes in lots of different shapes and sizes, and a lot of people are tempted to try and cut that material into that shape right away. But this material gets cut to the shape as it gets put on the frame. So when we measure for material, we're measuring just panels of rectangles to put those and piece those together later on. Fabric, like this here, tends to come in a 54-inch bolt. These are all about 54 inches long. When I'm teaching students how to do upholstery, I want you to assume that you are not going to know how to do the math to fit more than one panel into one width of bolt. So when we measure for materials, we're measuring how many panels there are and the lengths of those panels. We're going to add up the lengths of those panels, divide by 36, and that'll tell us how many yards we need. Today, we don't have to get too far into that. What we need to know is how big a panel for the front, how big a panel for the seat, and how big of a panel for the back that goes on here. So you guys will notice it's hard to tell how everything is attached on here when everything is covered up, but this front panel attaches back here to the back of the chair, and it wraps around, and then it attaches here to the bottom of the chair. So when you're measuring for that, you're going to put your measuring tape on the back here, wrap it around the front, come around the back, and put it on the back here. You also have to account for how much material you need to hold in your hands to be able to wrap it around there. If you cut just enough, you're going to be wrestling to keep that material on there in a nice clean way. So I know it doesn't make sense now, but I promise it will make sense later. So Regan, I'm actually going to have you hold this because I'm not sure that I can aim properly.
Gotcha.
But what we're going to do first is we'll measure for this front panel the length, which we're going to start up here, come down here. For me, I need 2 inches of fabric to hold on to in order to be able to stretch it. So I want you guys to add 4 additional inches to that. And then I'm going to get something for you to write with, and we can write those measurements on here. So I'm going to draw just a little.
Do you want to go over there and write what the numbers are that they call out?
Seat
Thank you.
front, seat back, and seat. So these are the 3 panels that we have to measure. So one of you guys can be a recorder. You can come hold that pen. Yes.
Got Ben going over there.
Okay, great. So we'll start here. Go ahead and place your measuring tape on the back here. And we're going from the longest point, which here on this chair is at the top in the middle because there's a hump that goes up. So it's taller in the top than it is in the back, so that's where we're going to do our first measurement. We're going to come around here. And just along the side where it staples, it says 29 inches, but I want to add 4 inches to that to make sure that I can hold on to it with my hands. So what's 29 plus 4? Quick, I can't do the math in my head. 33. So 33 inches long for the seat front. Okay, and it'll be the same on your guys too. Is that what you're getting over there? Okay. And then we're going to do the width, and I usually will go through the middle of that too, just in case it like tapers. Sometimes a piece of furniture might be wider at the top than it is at the bottom. You always want to measure the widest part of it, or else you're not going to end up with enough material when you do that. So this, go ahead and hold on to this side here, is going to start there, and then come around here, and I've got it reading about 25 inches to where it's just over here, plus 4 inches, so 25 plus 4.
29.
29. Great job, guys. They tell you you're going to use math when you get older.
Look at that.
One of those jobs. And then the second panel that we
29
have is
on the
this
front.
seat.
So you got 33, right, I think, and then 29.
33 by 29. Make sure you're marking that length and width, because when we put it on our fabric, we're going to need to know which direction to do that in. So it's 33 inches long by 29 inches wide. And then the next one that we're going to want to measure is going to be this seat right here. So we want to measure at its widest point, which is exactly right up here at the front. This piece of fabric actually attaches to the bottom here. It staples to the bottom. So you can wrap it around that way and wrap it around this way. What did we get?
Like 31.
31 inches. So 31 inches plus 4 inches.
35.
35. Good.
That's
See,
not
even
bad.
the adults are like. So this is that panel, and then the final panel that we put on is going to be in the back here. Now this one, please see your measuring tape.
I didn't get the...
Actually, it attaches like this first, and then folds down and comes underneath like this. So I would just start this measurement at about 2 inches and come down here, and then add 2 inches from that. So let's see what we got. 23 plus 4, 27. We got. So that is the back length, and then the back width is going to be the same way. It's going to fold under here, and it'll fold under here. So 20 plus 4, 24 inches wide. So that is how much material we need in fabric to put around these chairs, and also in batting, which is the soft cotton material we put between them. We're going to take different measurements for the foam after we get everything stripped down. So I'm going to bring you guys over to this table, and I'm going to set out some tools.
From here to here. We got this one, I think, here to here, right? 35 on this one. Can you get that measurement?
Always double measure.
This one's 35. This one. So 35.
So these are the tools that we're going to use to take these chairs apart. We just need to strip them down and take the fabric off. We're going to be rebuilding all the infrastructure and everything on our own. These are actually really simple chairs. If I had to do these by myself, if they were already stripped down, because I don't pull staples anymore, but if they were already stripped down, I could redo these chairs in 2 hours tops. And I do chairs like this for about $500 a pop. and I could get a whole dining room set of them done like in an afternoon if I wanted to. So it's a really good way to make money. The materials on this cost me maybe $10 a chair, maybe. So.
And there are so many people looking for this service.
The second you put a staple remover in your hand, everyone's gonna go, "Oh, I have something you can work on."
Especially
so true.
boats
It is
and
true.
cars.
Yeah.
People
Oh gosh. Yeah.
keep
You got into
in this area too.
auto. Yeah, especially with the auto industry being that.
Yeah.
If you get into auto or marine upholstery, you'll never need another job as
No.
long as you do. Okay, so we are going to take these apart in the opposite direction they were put together, which is from the bottom up. So you guys are going to flip these chairs over so that the basically the belly of the chair is facing down and the legs are kind of kicked out. Probably this way is the best. Good. Very good.
That's the best first step in any project.
You want it hanging off like that?
Yeah, yeah, or anyway, you can actually, so this feels wobbly to you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might. If you push these together, you can sort of spread those around. So these sawhorses are really cool because these allow you to access your project around easier. When I first started doing upholstery, I did it on a 4-foot by 8-foot table that I had to walk around all day long. I have permanent dents in my thighs from like leaning into it. So this was a really good solution for me when I had to make this operation mobile. So this is the dust cover, and for the most part, you're never going to see this Velcro on. This is usually mass-produced furniture to make it easy for you to be able to screw the legs in, because these come flat shipped, so you can put them all together yourself. So it comes in a box through Amazon. This is still not a bad frame. It's softer wood, but this will still last a really long time, and it's a really easy project to flip if you're doing stuff for your dorm or you're doing stuff for your bedroom. This is a really, really easy project to be able to just do like in a couple of hours. So you'll see that there's a layer of staples here holding this Velcro in. We got to get that out, and then there's going to be another layer of staples under there, and another layer of staples under there, and then that's going to expose all your foam and material. So these tools that I'm giving you guys are upholstery staple removers, and you can get staple removers at Home Depot or Joann's, but they're not good enough to do this for an extended period of time. It will hurt your hands. These are designed to take the impact off of your body and to leverage a tool so you're not pulling and jerking everything. So you're just going to be able to twist them right out. I believe that these chairs, these staples came out easily. These ends are super duper sharp. If your staple is deeply embedded, you can just poke it into the wood next to it so you feel it sort of dig into the wood, and then just tip it up and it'll pull those staples out. This little tipping and twisting motion is the only thing you have to do to get these out. Sometimes, if the material is strong enough and you're very, very lucky, you can grab it with a pair of pliers and twist it, and it'll take the staple either out or up for you. Unfortunately, it's just ripping through this. But I can see here where it's lifted the staple, so now I can just come in here and take that out. These staples are coming out very easy. I imagine you guys will make very quick work of this, but we have to get all of this cleaned off before we can move to the next steps. Another fast way to do it that is the same concept of twisting this back, and it also strips your furniture down super fast and makes you feel like you did a lot of work in a very little amount of time, is we can just cut it loose. So you can take, and you don't have to worry about salvaging any of the foam or anything. You'll see this foam is literally like turning to dust. That's what happens to this foam over time. It turns into actual dust, and then it gets into the air. You can see it right on the knife there. It gets into your fabrics, and then everything's got to be replaced. And this chair isn't even that old. So this is probably a more modern chair. The date is probably on here, 2017.
Oh my gosh.
I have taken apart chairs that are like 50 years old that are just starting to fall apart. So modern furniture, fast furniture like this, is made with poor quality materials that are only meant to last a couple of years because they want you to buy more furniture in a couple of years. And then all of this stuff ends up in the landfills or on the sides of the street. There is a finite amount of space on this planet to hold furniture and cars and things that gets discarded like very frequently. So reusing and redoing furniture, even this more cheaper made furniture, is a lot more sustainable for the planet, and it looks cooler than the stuff that you can buy in the stores. So that is a way to sort of get this off quickly and then get up underneath all these layers and see if you can get those off simultaneously.
Man, you guys are gonna build your muscles up today.
Yes. So we can probably have one person on either side of this seat and one person on either side of this back here. This seat back is held on with this little ribbon of fabric, and I think it's just like one staple every couple of inches here underneath there. So once you start to pull this up, you'll start to see the staples underneath there. So you guys can get to work doing that.
Grab a tool.
Once these get stripped down, then we're going to measure for the foam and get all of that cut too. The other thing that we need to work on is picking out fabric. So I have 3 of these chairs. In no way do they have to match. I don't really care. Like 3 chairs is a really hard sell for a set of chairs because there's just 3 of them. So I'm open to anything. So if you guys wanted to have a look at these fabrics here, these are the funnest fabrics I could find. I don't like boring fabrics, so most of my stuff looks insane like this. So you can use one fabric, like one kind of fabric on one of these chairs. You can pair fabrics up. A lot of times, I'll show you this chair that I just finished over here. So I like to mix different types of fabrics. So on this one, I have a patterned fabric on the back and a solid fabric on the front. I have strategically chosen fabrics that I thought might look cute together. So, you guys like this one?
Yeah. We're actually thinking this one for the front and this one.
That is what I chose these for. That was like the combo I was hoping for. So that's good. We can do one of the chairs with these 2. Do we want to do all of them with those fabrics? I think we probably have enough.
What do you guys want? Do you guys want to do one
Oh, yeah.
chair and then do you guys pick the fabrics on the other chair?
Okay. Super fun, guys.
Cash, why don't you and
Do you
Ben
guys want to pick a fabric for these chairs?
A fabric or 2 fabric for the chair over here. Kim, I did have a question because I noticed on the foot of this one that there's a little bit of wood missing. What do you do when you have a chair that is missing part of it?
Right, so a couple different options that you can do. One, you can make it part of the character of the chair.
Right.
If it is, I mean, this isn't an antique chair and there's not a lot of character to it. That wouldn't be my take on this chair because it just isn't like that. But if it's not structural, you could choose to make it part of that. Painting goes a long way to cover up like imperfections. But if I were painting, I would probably go as far as to fill that with a Bondo or some epoxy, some sort of wood epoxy, and sand it down to the shape of the chair, and then paint it. I would never do that if I was going to stain it. As many products there are on the market that tell you can stain it, no, you can't.
They look different.
Yeah, it looks completely different. You can tell it. You can like paint stain on it, and but it's like hand painting it. I personally am not a huge fan of wood. I tend to paint all my wood projects.
Yeah.
It really makes a lot of people mad.
Yeah, it does. For sure.
Do we have any questions on TikTok yet?
We just had one asking where you were located. They said they were out of DC and they were looking to learn.
Oh, great. So I teach my classes here out of my local makerspace, Makerworks in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I teach them 4 days a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, so you can come visit for the weekend and join some classes. But I also teach virtual upholstery workshops where you are working with me directly for 3 hours on Monday evenings and Saturday afternoons. So if you're not local or you can't make it out this way, you can sign up for the virtual workshops. And I'm still working with you on your projects individually. Up to 6 people will join that class. It's 3 hours long. You bring your project to your home and we go via Zoom. And then I go with you step by step on how to complete your project. So you don't have to know how to do this. You don't have to have any experience. These guys here, has anybody in here ever done anything like this before? No, look at them, pro staple removers. They're doing a great job.
That's my favorite part.
What's that?
Can I have an X-Acto knife?
Yes, you can have an exact.
Somebody says they love your tattoos.
Thank you very, very much. I was told I would never get a job.
Same.
Now they all look like me.
Somebody says I have two 1800s chairs that I'm looking to recover. They have straw in them.
Yeah, straw. You'll see hay, straw, Spanish peat moss, coconut hair, horse hair.
Yeah.
It's gross. It's really nasty stuff. I love it. I love this.
So where are we landing on these?
So on one of the chairs, we're going to do
The stripes?
this two combo.
Oh, okay.
Back stripes, you guys,
Well, like,
or front stripes. I don't care.
there's like this whole thing stripes, and then the bottom is like.
Ooh, I like that idea too.
That is a
okay,
good
so
plan.
top stripes, see this Art Deco cut velvet purple like lavender. And then the other chair we're gonna do this, and then we have a third chair which I think we should do this. I think I should executive decision.
Yeah.
Do this chair or do it that color.
I'm glad they
At
picked
least
this
these
one.
two I would be able to sell together by themselves. So very cool. Thank you for choosing this fabric. I really have been looking for an excuse to use it for a while now. I'm excited about it. Good. So does anybody have any questions so far? Everything going okay? Yeah. Is this the fun part you thought that you would be doing? You do like it? So
It's either one or the other. You hate it or you just love it.
some people find it very cathartic, and I call those people psychos.
And I am one of the psychos.
Not exactly this, but they do like make their own furniture and stuff. So like they'll take inspiration from other
That's
stuff.
very
and then make their
cool. That's very cool. My husband and I make furniture together too, but I don't think that my kids
a little later.
I hope so. Well, my oldest is in college now, and I'm hoping, like, I made a chair for her for college, and it was in that Kelly green velvet, and it was a beautiful two-button tufted chair. It was a chair that I didn't even want to reupholster because I loved it how it was, but it was like special, and I was like, ooh, college! And I showed her, and I was like, I made you this chair for your dorm, and she goes, I'll have to ask my roommate if they like it. And I said, you are not getting this chair. This is my chair. This isn't about that. This isn't that. So anyways.
Kim, they want to know how much virtual classes are.
So a virtual class is $75 and it's 3 hours long, but if you're getting into a project, they always take longer than you expect them to, and I couldn't tell you how long it's going to take you to complete a project because everybody learns at their own pace, and in my class I'm encouraging you to learn at your own pace and not to try to go faster. It's not curriculum based, so you can come into any class you want to at any point in time and just carry on your journey whenever you're ready to do it. So my classes are buy 3, get 1 free. When you're in person, they're also bring a friend free, which is very helpful. 4
Yes.
hands are always better than 2, so you can
Especially in this part.
especially in this one. We are getting into it here today. So what I will say, when people are first starting these projects, they're always asking me, do I have to remove every single staple? And the short answer is yes, you have to remove every single staple. There is a finite amount of room to hold staples in a wood project. The more you put in it, the weaker the wood gets and it starts to break and get brittle. But when you're doing this for the first time, the main goal is to get you through to the end of the project. And it's your first project, and I guarantee you it's not going to be show quality, although we get really close, very close with our students. So don't stress too much if the staples aren't holding anything down. So if you guys see a staple that is just flat on the wood, not holding down any foam or anything, just leave it. Because we don't need to spend that much time on it. There's not a ton of staples in this anyways, and as long as it's not a cluster of staples in one area, it's going to be fine.
Somebody wants to know if you've ever reupholstered a piece and then used fabric paint on it for added flair.
No, absolutely not. I am anti-fabric painting, not because I don't think it's beautiful, because I have a lot of friends who paint very beautiful pieces, but no matter what paint you're using, it seals the moisture. It's a wet medium. Your foam in your upholstery, horsehair, cotton, all of that stuff is not meant to hold water, or actually it does hold water, that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's not meant to get wet, and so it stays wet once the paint seals underneath, and it always molds 100% of the time. I have never pulled apart a painted piece that didn't have mold on the inside.
That's a good take on it, because usually people are like, oh, well, it just doesn't hold up.
No,
And
it
that's a
looks cool,
good,
and I think that they've invented a lot of ways to get the fabric to stay soft and to look cool. It looks amazing. I love it. It looks incredible. It's a really fast way to change a piece of furniture for your home if you want something to look cool. But 100% of the time there's mold underneath. So I do not recommend painting fabric and foam.
Okay. Speaking of recommended, they want to know if you have a recommended reading list.
Spruce is my favorite book on how to do upholstery because it's all pictures mostly. And you don't have to read it to understand it, but it's really bright and colorful, and the chick is really cool, and she's also self-taught, so she's a very accomplished upholsterer in her own right, and I really like it. Also, I don't read. That's why I like that book.
Yeah.
I listen to lots of books, but I don't have time to read. I work too much.
Fair.
But I will say, Madam of Making on Instagram and Vintique Upholstery, Sharon O'Connor, they both have really great recommended reading lists on their sites and pages, so I would suggest going to them. Sharon O'Connor is an upholsterer on the show Money for Nothing. They meet people at the dump and they intercept them from throwing out their furniture, and then they give it to local artists to reimagine and restore it, and then they sell it and they give the profits to the person who threw the furniture away. And so Sharon O'Connor is one of the upholsterers on that show, and she's done guest appearances with me a bunch on these lives and at my weekend upholstery retreats. She's she went to university for it. So she's a pro, and she funded her whole way through it. Fun fact is, this is still a heavily male-dominated industry, even though 99% of the people you see in my classroom are women.
Yeah.
You guys are really... Don't stab yourself. Also see your form here right towards your body. If you slip, you're going to hurt yourself. So try and go away from your body, but not toward your friend's face. Not towards my Don't want anybody gets out.
Okay.
So taking the razor blade through here might be a good idea, just cutting this. Okay. So that it's like a border, and then again through here.
Use the pliers and twist.
I was aiming the nails though.
Okay. All right.
Any suggestions on the finish for the wood, you guys? So this chair right here is going to be that striped lavender material. We can paint or stain the wood. I'll have that done before I bring it to the thing. But do you guys have any suggestions on what to do for that?
Staining would be cool.
Staining? Like what color?
Yeah, look at the color that you're picking.
Yeah, you're going off of these two.
Oh, like a red. They do have really cool Lowe's. I think they have rainbow color stains. I think that's a good idea. The deep purple right here, you guys. I could probably make a stain that's like this deep purpley color that's in there. Yeah? That'd be really cool. Have any of you guys ever done made your own, decor or furniture or anything before?
I made ceramic.
Ceramic? That's cool. That is cool and hard. Do you do that at school? They have this. Just so lucky.
I just made a pot and I don't like it.
Oh. Well, practice.
We made monsters.
That's fun. We didn't have that stuff.
Really cute house.
Yes.
The cute little cottage. And then where do we put our...
Let me get a trash can. You can really toss stuff on the floor and we'll just put it.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to slip and run. So if you guys get big chunks of stuff out, you can just put it in this trash. Are you guys going to be at the event, or are they just forcing you to
At least half of them will be.
So, what do you think so far? You like stable removal? Really? We...
I think you're outnumbered, Kim.
No, absolutely.
You think we're the psychos.
They've all said they like doing it.
Ripping apart furniture is very fun.
Well, I will say demo is always my favorite part of any project.
After I closed my business, I had to get rid of 2 30-yard dumpsters full of furniture. But those had to be smashed in order to fit into the dumpster.
Oh my god.
So we're standing on my 18-foot pallet rack shelves, just throwing furniture from 18 feet in the air to the ground, smashing it. That was cathartic. That was like 10 years worth of trash.
Yeah.
This is Poppy. And these dogs are just puppies, like they just 2 years old. I'm pretty sure
Like they were babies when I first came here.
you can't trust them.
I know, you're just looking for snacks. Just looking for snacks.
I think I can get 3 of you on cutting some materials for the rest of the set. So I can pull a few people over to this table.
Is there anybody that wants office staple duty? Oh, Ella, come on over. Dang, I didn't get that sentence out.
Okay, Ella, let's get the fabrics that we chose for your chairs. We'll get those out.
And then how about one of you from this group over here? Anybody want to stop staple removal over here?
Somebody wants to know, they said, have you worked exclusively with upholstery or do you also do sewing for clothes?
That's a good question. I do sewing for clothes for my kids' costumes. I don't make my own clothes, but I wanted to be a fashion designer originally, and I never got into it in school because my teachers told me that was something that I would never be good at, and so I believed them. Isn't it so weird
rude.
that teachers do that? It's such a weird thing. Not these. My kids have not been told stuff like that, like in their generation, but. My teachers told me I couldn't be an artist, I couldn't be a fashion designer, you'll never do anything with tattoos and dyed hair. I was elected to city council as a political official. They let anybody do that. So you can't do anything. Don't listen to adults, of course. So we took our measurements of the seat front and see. We'll start with these 2 colors first. We can set this one back here, and then we'll cut these ones out after. So we need to measure. You guys are doing the front in the stripes, so we'll need to take those 2 measurements out of these stripes. Now you have to choose which direction these stripes go in. Most fabrics, when they come off the bolt, so this is the bolt, these little fringed edges are called the salvage edge, and so those are usually at the sides of your fabric. And this can indicate the direction that your fabric goes in. So most fabric, when it comes off the bolt, goes top to bottom in this direction. Some fabrics can be railroaded, which means it can be stretched out the length of the bolt and be top to bottom on this side. Those are the kind of fabrics you want to find if you're upholstering a couch, because couches are wider than 54 inches and you don't want to put a seam in the middle and make it look weird. So having a fabric that can be railroaded for a couch is best. This fabric can be railroaded. So we can go top to bottom so your stripes are horizontal, or it can go stripes vertically.
I like horizontal.
You like
it matches like
this way here. Let's spread these out a little bit and put them together and pick the direction on both of them. Let's see what we're doing. This is a cut velvet, like lavender color and like an Art Deco print. I love it. There's a place in Detroit called Discount Fabric Outlet, and they have discontinued designer fabrics that are like vintage fabrics. I love that. Oh my gosh, it's out of control. It's $8 a yard. You guys don't care about this, but that's really cheap for fabric.
Yeah. What's the name of that place again?
Discount Fabric Outlet. Most fabrics like this fabric originally was probably close to $100 a yard. So I actually got this for $4 a yard when they were selling it for $4 a yard, but the prices have gone up and now it's $8 a yard. And if you look at, so a yard is 36 inches, and if you guys look at the things that we've got here, with 33 inches here, 34 inches here, that's already 2 yards of fabric. So if your fabric is $100 a yard, you're spending $200 just to put fabric on the front of your chair, let alone the rest. So when you can get a fabric for $8 a yard, oh my gosh. Because that's more money in your pocket if you sell the chair. So you said horizontal.
Yeah.
How do we feel about this? If you can see the pattern here,
Yeah, that's what I was
we have this long area.
horizontal because it kind of matches the way the stripes are going.
You like it in this, both like this? You agree? Everything looks good? All right, we'll start with this because we have the seat front and the seat back that we have to cut with this. And we want to mark those from the back side of this because I use Sharpie marker to mark my fabric, and you're not supposed to do that because it can bleed through your fabric, but I don't like being told what to do. I'll do whatever I want. So let's stretch this out, and we'll start from this end down here. We're going to use...
Someone said Sharpie with the, like, face.
Any of the pros in the comments can just shut up. Okay, so this fabric has stripes on it, so that gives us some sort of indication of
The
what
fabric
straight
place is
line
called
looks
Discount
like.
Fabric
So
Outlet.
we can, what I want to do first is like cut this, choose a stripe, cut up that stripe so that the end that we start on, we know is going to be straight. So I have fabric scissors here. Just choose one of these lines close to the end and follow it all the way up to the other side.
Somebody wants to know what kind of class you guys are in that you're here right now.
All right, so this is part of our interior design class that I have
Gotcha.
at our high school. But some of these students are also with me in my engineering or architecture classes. And we are also part of the engineering club and our National Technical Honor Society. A lot of our students are across all of the board here. And they help me to run Maker Girl Mania.
Awesome.
Wow. So you guys all are interested in interior design, or that's an elective you're taking?
I'm pursuing architecture. I'm going to Lawrence Tech next year for architecture.
That's very cool. My oldest is 20. She went to school for law school, but she's spends still most of her time designing interiors and stuff on The Sims. Like she sells some of her stuff. And I'm like, you should be an architect. Like you would be a really great architect. And she's like, I'm not like you, Mom.
Well, she's designing stuff on The Sims. There are a lot of companies that you can design things for, like on Reddit,
On
and then
SketchUp.
she could sell that.
I know. I'm telling her these things. She knows it. She's seen it her whole entire life. She just doesn't want to be anything like me. She is the black sheep of my family because I have 3 kids and a husband, and 2 of the kids and the husband and me all look like this. And she is very shiny and new and clean, and she is Aeropostale girl. Like she is the opposite. Funniest kid.
But that's what, like, my kids are both opposites of each other, right?
Yeah.
One is half of me and the other half of me.
I love it.
That's why
So we have 54 inches wide, and I see on the seat back is 24 inches and 29. That's 40, 53. Ooh, let's double check this measurement. I think we can get the seat front and back off of the width of the bolt. We're doing horizontal, right, guys? Let's measure how wide this is between the salvage edges. So I can't use the salvage edge, but we can measure from here to the other edge of that salvage edge, like just before it starts, just to make sure we're working with enough material to get both of those measurements from the one width of it. Now, I did a class like this with high schoolers before, and they did a whole couch in 7 classes, and each class was just under an hour. I couldn't use, like, kids move so much faster than adults. They're so much easier.
So 54 and a half inches.
Perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do then is we're going to measure the longest length between both the seat front and the seat back, because we're going to just cut it almost easily. So we have 33 inches long here, but this is only 27 inches long. But we're just going to go with 33 inches long for both of them, and we'll just cut off the excess material that we don't need when we get into the project. So I want you guys to take this T-square. Fabric is a really difficult medium to measure squarely because it's flexible. So a T-square, and when we have a nice clean square edge, makes it easier to get a square measurement. So the way I'm going to measure this, and what do we got, 33 inches, is you can measure on one side of this fabric closer to that salvage edge. And you'll notice on this ruler, one side starts at 48 and the other side starts at 1. You're going to want to pay attention to that. To make sure you're not measuring it from the wrong end. And I get as close to this factory edge as possible because that's like my best indication of a straight, square, 90-degree edge. And then I will measure 33 inches down that line. So this is the Sharpie. I want you to just make a little dot in this direction where it says 33. Watch the side you're measuring. This one starts at 48. This one starts at 1. So we'll start on this side. All the way to 33, and you can mark it at 15. Perfect. And now I just want to go a little bit further across because this is only 48 inches long. It's not going to make it to the other side. So I'm going to go a little bit further across, and I'm aligning the T-square with the straight edge that you guys already cut, because if I just put this in the middle and this is tilted in this direction in any way, that measurement is in a different place than that one. It's either up higher or down lower. And that will compound your measurement and make you cut out a polygon instead of a rectangle. So go ahead and mark that at 33. Now if we're lucky, that mark should be on the same line all the way down, which is pretty close. So what I would do, you can use this to, we're not going to do this because I'm going to tell you something else. If it doesn't have a clean pattern on that you can follow, you can use this to connect these dots and make a line across. But because we can see what line that goes on, we're just going to cut right up that line all the way across the width of the fabric. And then we'll measure the width of that after that. So, you got your scissors. And then go ahead and get how are we doing over here? So you guys can start to see where the strings are coming through here. That's holding those buttons on in the front. You can cut these strings too. And I would just trim them back. I don't think you have to worry about taking all this out here.
And I was going to ask, do you have to take out all of your staples when you are doing a project like this?
Good question. We answered that just a few minutes ago, but we're going to answer it. No, so this is a softer wood. This is a mass-produced piece of furniture, so the wood quality is not that great. My answer to that question is usually always yes, because there's a finite amount of staples that you can put in the wood before it destroys the wood. That being said, this is the first and only time this has ever been upholstered, so you can add more staples to it without getting in too much trouble. But if the staple is holding down material, like here and here, it's got to come out, because this is just going to build up with all the layers. You're going to looking at a real princess in the pea situation if you don't take that out of there. You'll be able to see those lumps underneath your fabric.
And some of these have little legs that have been broken off, and so should we pull those out?
No, you'll have a difficult time pulling those out because they've broken down to the wood. So after everything is through, we're going to go back with a tack hammer, and we're just going to hammer those in.
Okay.
But if you take your knife, and I have sharp blades too, if you guys are running out of, if your knives are getting dull, you can switch out the blade. Do we have 2 knives out?
Crocodile frog.
Or 1?
Look at that, look at that.
I cut this, and then it's on the side.
Okay.
When you're practicing doing upholstery, for the most part, it's usually safe to reuse the materials underneath if it's still in good shape. This I would say
You're fine.
good shape because of dust already.
Yeah.
The upholstery that you put on your piece is only ever going to be as good as the infrastructure underneath. So if the infrastructure underneath is already falling apart, it's going to be days, weeks, months before your new upholstery starts to fall apart too. But when you're practicing, you don't want to spend a ton of money on materials.
Yeah, because it is
I
expensive.
noticed this has a solid base to it, right? So there's a piece of plywood underneath here that makes up the seat that we'll put the foam on top of.
Yes.
And then on that chair over there, it had more like a woven pattern underneath that you then put the foam on.
Yeah, so I have jute webbing under there, which sort of gives it a suspension system. The reason why you might not see it on a chair like this is a flat ship chair. So it comes in a box and you assemble it, you put it together yourself. And they make them from as cheap as possible material as you can, and it's more expensive and it takes more steps to do that than it does to just cut a piece of wood. And I would say that your foam and material are going to wear away faster rubbing against this wood like sandpaper over time than it would setting on top of a suspension system like that.
And when you do the suspension system, you are creating like a basket weave with it, right?
Yeah.
And then I noticed there was another chair over here I couldn't help peeking that it had the suspension on the bottom, and then it had
I'll bring it out so you can see it.
springs, and then it had another suspension on top of that.
Yep, and we will be using, this is what we're talking about here, right? So this is a chair without anything on it, but it will get just jute webbing, which is what is under here. Oh, you can't see it because of the dust cover, but that's usually what's under the springs. This chair has springs in it that are tied. Pull this up. And oddly enough, they're tied with jute webbing on top, which is not how
Oh.
I rate tie springs. So this is all going to have to get redone.
Okay.
But what you see is there's the barrier fabric that's on the bottom. That's cambric. That's your dust cover. That keeps the critters out of your furniture. If you've ever seen a mouse house, it's like cotton material and foam. It's your chairs. So, and then on top of that is the jute webbing, and that's the suspension system for the springs to sit on. The springs usually sit on the crosshairs of those. On the top, this isn't tied with string, but typically you would see it tied with string to hold the springs up and to hold them tightly together and to create a web on top of them to evenly distribute the weight.
Okay.
So when someone sits on it, the weight's evenly distributed, it doesn't go in one area. And then this material right here is a barrier fabric that you put on top. It can be burlap, it can be a scrap fabric, anything to cover those springs, because over time the springs will cut through the foam like knives. So you gotta just put a solid barrier layer over top of those.
Okay.
So they don't cut
Retain
through.
the springs and refurbishing that chair, or would you?
Yeah, so coil springs last forever.
Okay.
In over a decade of doing upholstery, I've only had one project where I had to replace the springs because they broke, and it appeared to have had like maple syrup or something poured inside the frame under the foam. Like it wasn't on the fabric or in the foam, it was just on the springs and the wood. It was really weird. But it ate through the springs and it broke, and we had to replace them. But for the most part, these springs will last forever, so long as they're not deteriorated with rust or bent or broken in any way. You can retie them. So I'll repurpose these springs. I've only ever had to pay for springs like maybe 3 times in over a decade of doing upholstery, because they really last a long time. The sinuous springs, which are the zigzaggy springs, and the coil springs last a really long time. They just need to be retied so that they're nice and tight. What happens over time is the materials that are holding them in, the jute webbing and the string, they get looser and stretch out over time, so everything starts to get loose, and then the springs might tip over, and that's where you might see like a chair bottom out. Sometimes if the springs aren't attached to the jute webbing strongly enough, over time they'll literally unscrew out of the chair, and you'll see springs popping through the bottom. Yeah. So they just like find their way out of that material. And that's what a lot of seats like need to be redone are done because of that. Either the ties snapped from being too old or something of that nature. Alright, we got this kid looks so smart, I just went back and said Alright guys, we're ready to finish cutting over here. So one side of this has to be 29 and one has to be 24, so we really only need to measure that one measurement, like 29 inches on either side. So the same way we did it down here and down there, I want you guys to line that up with the salvage edge, but just inside, there you go, you got it. And closest to these straight edges as you can, because those are nice and straight. And then we're just going to measure 29 inches down on this side, look for the 1, and then follow that down. And then we'll take it all the way over to this side of the fabric, and we're going to do the same thing on that side. Now you can take your straight edge and connect those 2 dots. We don't have a vertical line to follow this time, but you have these 2 dots. So you can connect those dots, draw your line, and cut up that line, and those are going to be the 2 fabric pieces for the front, and then we'll cut the fabric for the seat. Then we have to cut these same measurements in batting, because the batting goes underneath. The batting is this stuff, which is it's a polyester material, which is like made of plastics, like recycled plastics. And what it does is it puts air between the foam and the fabric. If you put the fabric directly on the foam like this, it will look flat. But if you put padding underneath that, then it puts air between it, makes it look a little plushy and nice and soft. So you guys can go ahead and cut that loose, and then we'll measure the seat on this part here. Oh no, we're not doing the seat.
Yeah, I was gonna say the seat's the other one.
Right? Alright, let me get this out of the way. I have scissors. Here you go. I also got sharp knives for everybody. I don't know if you needed. It's got new blades in them.
Somebody wants to know, as far as upholstery goes, what would you say is more difficult, larger or smaller projects?
Larger projects are just larger, smaller projects. So they're done the same, like the fundamentals are the same. It takes longer because they're bigger, and it takes more material because they're bigger, but it's the same repetition, the same movements, the same cuts. There's no difference except for size. So I would say wingback chairs are the best thing to start on, because you can do them without sewing. So if you don't know how to sew, it's a good first project. But you can also do every fundamental that there is in upholstery, you can do on a wingback chair. So you can tie springs, you can have sinuous springs, you can do deep button tufting, decorative nail heads, like anything you can think to do on an upholstery project, you can do on a wingback chair. So it's a really good study. Wingback chairs look just like couches. It's the same frame, same setup. So if you can do a wingback chair, you can do it. Okay, purple fabric. Let's get that one out. Ooh, let's mark these two. So the 29-inch one is a seat front. So with that Sharpie, what I want to do, just so we have it ready, is mark the top of this fabric, which is going to be, you guys want it vertical lines, right? So let's mark the top of that there, and also on this side. So T, just T. Or you could write top. T is probably fine. Let's do the same one on this side so that we have them both going in the same direction when we put them on. And then, what else was I going to say? This is the 29-inch one. This is seat front. So I want you to also write seat front on the top.
I love when I take apart furniture and I have to just, I'm like, oh, look, this is what their markings are.
Yeah,
like, I can tell.
Everything. And then this one is the seat back. Perfect. And another thing that we'll do with these is make buttons, because the fronts of the chairs have buttons, and those are really fun for people to do. So I'll show you guys how to press your own buttons. Do you want to do the buttons in this color fabric, or do you want to do them in the purple? Yeah, the purple might be cool. Also, this.
Yeah.
Here too, might be cool. Okay, so seat backs. Let's lay the purple out. We can lay that out inside out too. And the seat is 34 by 35. Let's just do a 35-inch square. So go ahead and stretch that out. You always want to make sure that the fabric is nice and flattened before you get to measuring. A lot of people are tempted to just break this fabric on their piece and cut around it, but it's a good waste of material. And if you're new, you always end up having to remake something again, and if you waste your material, you can't get it back. So, same with this as we did the other fabrics. I want to kind of find a straight point to measure from, and I think if we cut right up the middle of this pattern, we can just cut that off, and we can measure from there. So go ahead and grab the scissors, and just cut straight up from there.
Oh, yeah. I can't do it all.
I can't do it all.
If we have people, and you can remind them of this too, again, joining us on TikTok today who are learning something from what we're doing. I know we went over this process a bunch of times on the live, but we get a lot of new people here. Sending gifts on TikTok is fine, but I only get a fraction of those pennies that come through. So it's actually more valuable to me if you're here and you're learning when I stop and remind you to just tap the screen as violently as possible until that little guide shows up. There's like a little heart that shows up in the upper left-hand corner, and you just keep tapping until it reaches the end and throws you a party, and we're like, hooray! It does a lot of good for me because it pushes my content out through the For You page while you're liking it, because you're engaging with it. And it helps people find me and learn what it is that I do, which is teach upholstery workshops, both in person and virtually. So if you're here learning for free, do me a solid and just tap that screen as violently as possible whenever I remind you how to do it. Okay, so now we're going to measure 35 inches down this way. You guys remember how to do that? We're going to start on one edge and then maybe go to the middle and measure down. Table a little more this way so you guys can squeeze in there. There we go, perfect.
I think I know your answer to this one, Kim, but what's your least favorite fabric to work with and why?
Leather.
Leather?
It's expensive. Let's push that flat edge all the way up to the top of the fabric. Leather, because it's harder to work with and expensive. Although the first time I worked with it, I was like, I'm never working with this again. And then I got good at working with it, so I'm good at working with it, but it makes me nerdy. 35, there we go. And then we'll just kind of come towards the middle here and do the same thing. This pattern is so cool. I've had these fabrics sitting around for years, not being used, because I just like to collect fabric. I used to have 250 rolls of fabric for no reason. Now we can connect those dots, and as we're connecting these dots, we can mark that 35-inch mark too. So you line this up with this. Line those two dots up. If our measurements are good, we'll be able to notice this is lining up on the same part of the pattern all the way across, which it is. Looks good. Go ahead and make the line, and then I would make a dot where 35 inches is too, right down here. And so now we're going to take it down to that end and measure 35 inches from the selvage edge.
Yeah, my bad.
If you're new here and you're enjoying this information, there is a Facebook group that you can join that's in the link tree. We learn a lot of stuff there. There's beginners to experts. You can find all kinds of help with projects.
I love that Regan is learning my spiel. Okay, great. So we can cut this out, and then we'll just kind of keep all of these together. And we'll do the buttons next. Oh my gosh. Breathe.
Somebody said can't make any mistakes with leather. True.
You can't, it's not a self-healing fabric, so when you sew it, it leaves permanent holes in it. My first leather project, I ruined like the first couple of hides, and it was $1,800 a hide. And I was just like, I need more hides, and they're like, okay. And I'm like, it's $1,800 a hide.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was not financially responsible for that material.
To the person who asked what's my least favorite fabric, velvet, because it moves. It looks amazing. I love the way it looks, but to work with, so far it has been a giant pain in my butt.
There are only 2 pros to using velvet, and that's that it looks good and it feels good.
Yeah. Well, and plus you have to store it just right, otherwise it gets creases and weird stuff in it.
It's a very finicky fabric.
They said velvet is evil.
But I cannot remember the last time I upholstered something not using. Well, this project is not velvet. But
Yeah.
almost every custom piece that I do that my design is done.
I know, me too, but you know.
Okay, so this is a button press. So we need to cut some of this material out. This is our seat. Oh, let's mark it. Top. So this is the seat top.
Someone said cutting velvet is a special type of torture.
Yeah, definitely is. Okay, so now I want to be able to get, like, this is the die to cut the buttons. And I think this is probably the best part of the pattern to focus on, or this part of the pattern. This little guy? Yeah. Okay, so then what we need to do is cut squares of this. Let's count how many buttons we need, because I didn't do that count yet. Can I stop you guys for just 1 second so we can look at the front of this chair? We've got to count buttons.
It was a few. That's all I remember.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 buttons. All right. So we need 12 of those parts of the pattern, you guys. And you can already see how much fabric that we really have to burn through to accomplish that. That's the name of the game. So, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to get some more over here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Jeez, all the way. So in order to get 12 buttons out of there, we have to cut this. And we're using like a full-on, like 2 yards of fabric. for for this much material.
Yeah.
So go ahead and cut up this part of the pattern, guys.
And that's why you overestimate how much fabric you need.
Yeah, and then we're gonna cut these out into squares that we can overlap, and hopefully cut through them all at the same time. Because this actually cuts through more material better than, like, easier than it cuts through less material. So hopefully we can get all 12.
I've never seen money.
And another part of the chair that you guys can't even see anymore because you guys have taken it all apart is the decorative welt that goes around the bottom, which is the piping. It's like a rope that goes around the bottom. We can put that around the bottom and we can put it around the outside edge. We could do that with this material too. I think that would look lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we need to cut out these squares, but we need this to stay in the middle. So I think if we just cut up this part, do you see what I'm doing? Okay. Cut up those all the way across so that this stays in the middle.
Actually, I probably have like 2 other classes. Not yet.
Love these fabrics.
I know.
Pick these 2 fabrics to go together when I got them at
Yeah.
the store. I mean, I was never going to get them. I like your guys' design.
Yeah.
How's it going, guys?
Lots of you have just joined, and if you are new to this live, if you could tap that heart a bunch of times until it throws you a party, we would really appreciate it.
Are you guys all in the same grade?
No, 10 through 12.
10 through 12th grade?
Although I think I have.
Also, if you're just joining us, today we are teaching some high school kids how to tear apart and set up for upholstery, and they're doing an event called Maker Girl Mania, where they will teach even younger kids how to do some trade skills.
That's a lot of stress.
It is. It's important to know if you, just because you really enjoy it doesn't mean you can handle the smell of it. Right? Like, it's always important to go and hang out the places you want to work at eventually.
My daughter said she either wanted to do law school or be a NICU nurse. I'm like, you can't unsee any of those things.
Yeah. My dad's a he just retired. He was a firefighter, and everyone's like, "Oh, I want to be a firefighter," and he's like, "You don't even know."
You can't unsee it. Whole world.
Yeah, it's already 12.
Put yourself in.
No, you don't know. This is 5.
I can't wait to see these buttons.
What's that?
I can't wait to see the buttons. That was such a good idea.
Let me see from the front. These are 5? Yeah. Yep.
This fabric looks so cool on camera too.
Does that?
Yeah. It's like super bright.
Ooh, look at that. Come on, man. Yeah, so when we put these together, we want to try and line them up as close as possible, which might mean we need to cut these more. I don't want to do too much. I think if we cut them one at a time, though, so that they're in the same spot in the pattern, then we should be able to line them up. Yeah, I think so. And we line the T-square up, and then it seems like an overkill, but a lot less work than doing them one at a time.
Oh, yes.
I'll have you do that while you're sitting there. We're gonna put you to work too. Oh, this is not a great person. Someone used my fabric scissors for glue.
Oh no.
See ya. I wish they could just like make it the same spot like all of them. You can take some off of that. So this is
If you're new here, this is our local Maker Works. There's all kinds of different workshops in this building, and you join with a membership, and if you know how to use and are approved on the equipment, You can use anything in this space. We have things from wood shop, metal shop, there's jewelry area, all kinds of stuff.
Patterns, lay it on top, match it like exactly with the pattern that's underneath here. There's a lot of flipping back and forth. And you can also watch where the lines line up here and just snip it there. Now where it got cut was basically at the end of this arrow here. And that was the end of the arrow.
Expect me to help you lift it on.
But you can just run your scissors up that way and that way. And you can do the same thing on that side. You can use this one as your pattern. There you go. That'll make it easier for us to line up the pattern when we have to put them all together. All this material and then go in the trash. This fabric is the same as velvet. Regan, I don't know if you can tell from here. It's a cut velvet. So if it
1 second, it's making me verify I'm still here.
if it ever gets
squeeze
put
through, you
in
guys.
two different directions, it looks like two different colors. I don't know if that translates through the screen.
It doesn't on this one. Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yeah, so this is in two different naps. So every time you look at here, you can see it too. Whenever you see an advertisement for velvet furniture now, if you see a darker panel on there than a lighter panel, it's because they sewed it on upside down. Because if they go on in the wrong nap, they will appear to be two different colors. So this is all
Ben, you have to hold up your side. Cash did that whole part.
We only got one more road to do.
The next part is the fun part, and that's making the buttons. So let's do that again. Let's get these all. Can you tell?
Yes.
I can't tell anymore because there's not. Is that different?
That's different.
Different?
That's the same.
Different.
That looks different. Same.
No, because this pattern isn't exactly the same in all the areas, it's probably not going to match up 100% perfect. But probably not if that was different.
Yeah, you were good the other way. Yeah, that one looks good the way it is too.
This one?
Yeah, you can really tell through the camera. Like,
Yeah,
it's
that's
really...
that's why I had you say,
Yeah.
because I know you can in the camera. On a project like this, you guys will face this a lot in interior design, probably like all different types of mediums, wallpaper, fabric, things of that nature. Pattern match is what is on here, and the pattern repeat tells you how big the initial pattern is, which should, based on the measurements of the fabric, tell you how many times it repeats. So if you're choosing a pattern fabric for your furniture, everywhere where your furniture has a seam, or like you have the top panel furniture that meets the seat, and then the seat goes this way, and the seat goes down this way. Everywhere where there's a seam, you have to factor in the math of an additional pattern repeat so you can get that pattern to match up right. So you have to start further down in the fabric. So you would have that math plus the additional math of however big your pattern repeat is, which this one I would guess is probably about 18 inches just by looking at it. And that's just measuring from one part of the pattern to the other, to the part where it repeats. And then you have to add that much additional inches to everywhere where there's a seam, because that's where you're going to have to move it up the fabric to get it to match. So we have this. It's looking good. These are still panels we have. I think we should be able to cut through all of these at once.
To answer the people who are asking, we are located in Ann Arbor, working out of Maker Works, which is our local maker space. Kim also does virtual upholstery classes for people who are not local.
Oh, yeah, I think we need 12 total. Let's see how many we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, we need 2 more from here. Oh, 11. Just one more from here then. All right, why don't you look through these and make sure all of these are matched up before we run it into this. Typically, I would have this bolted to a table because it takes a great deal of pressure to like get it to work. But I don't have the luxury of doing that at my local makerspace because I just pay a monthly membership to use this room when I want to use it. It doesn't belong to me. I don't have room in my home to upholster furniture because I have a very small house. So I have a membership in my local makerspace where I can come work on my own projects. I also rent out room here to teach my classes. If you have a local makerspace near you, I highly suggest getting into it because you can get into doing furniture like this without any overhead. And here I run my business right out of here. So I work on my furniture here and then I sell it online. And they have all the tools I need. I don't even have to have tools.
Kim, just so we know what the time is, it's about noon.
Oh, is it noon
Yeah.
already? Wow, you guys.
I know.
Well, let's make a couple quick buttons.
Oh, of course.
We're gonna punch this. We'll just do this pile for now. We'll punch the rest of it. So this, I want to put, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to use this. Oh, I need my silicone. So this is a button press, and this is just a pusher. Like, there's nothing fancy to it. It's just used to push all this down, and it uses a great deal of pressure. This is a silicone block that we use to make sure that, hi there, you can go ahead and head through that door right there. This is silicone block that makes sure that I can use this blade over this fabric and the blade doesn't go dull. And I'm just going to center this material. I'll do this pile and then you guys will do that pile. Over top of that block. Because we have to arrange this on the part of the pattern that we want to be the button, which is, you guys want to take a look with your eyeballs and see.
Because you're trying to get a very specific.
Yeah, we're
pattern.
catching a very specific part of the pattern to do this. Good. And so we'll get that. Try not to move it. Centered back on here. Now this button press will cut through multiple layers of material faster than it'll cut through 1 or 2 layers of material, which is why we got it stacked up so high. So I'll do this one. You guys can do the next one, but this takes a great deal of pressure. Like sometimes I even lift my whole body up off the table, and I just want to press until I hear it.
It is a lot of pressure.
Cut through all of that.
Yeah.
You guys look very strong, I'm sure. I have weak arms, very weak arms. I also twist it like this so that that blade goes all the way through, and you'll see it didn't even cut all the way through. It cut through to here. Great. So now I have all of these parts. We didn't get a full lineup on everything, but that's okay. And I'm going to show you how to do a button real quick. So we have this part is going to be the fabric for the button. This is the die that fits in here. This machine is a $400 machine, and it hasn't changed in over 100 years. It looks exactly the same way. This one is probably close to 100 years old. I got this used. This is the die that goes into it. This die set right here costs $200 to $300, and this is specifically for this size button. So if you want bigger buttons, you got to buy another one of these. This is a $200 blade. So this is a very expensive setup, but I got this set up for $40 on Facebook Market.
Somebody said I have one for sale in Atlanta if anyone watching needs one.
Oh, great. So I just put the fabric in the plunger face down. You'll notice this little part right here, this is the plunger. If I were to hold this, I'm not going to be able to push my fabric down in here because it creates a barrier there. It falls through. That's the part that I want the button to go in. So this is the button front, which I place right on top in the middle. I want to be very careful how I push this in because I want all that fabric to come around evenly on both sides. So I'm just pushing it through like this until it goes all the way down in that hole evenly. Sometimes you have a dowel you can use to push down in there. Even, sorry about my head there, guys. Even a Sharpie like this to push it in looks good. So long as that fabric is coming up around all of the edges, then we should be able to make a button. So this is the button back. This is the part that has the little eyelet that you put the string through where you can tie it. This goes eyelet side down in the part of the die that we've already placed here. There's a little nub there that fits in that hole. That's how we know how that part goes in there. This part just fits on top like a puzzle. And then you just snap that real quick, and that's a button. Ooh, uh-huh.
How'd it line up?
This one lined up good.
Good.
So let's try just 2 of these, or maybe 3, and get them lined up real good, because I think that's where we lined into this. This will create, because it's velvet, it's slippery, it's like rides and moves underneath itself, so everything sort of slid off to the side by the time we got through it. So I think if we start with like 3 layers, we should get good coverage. Do we have enough time for them each to make a button? She's going. I'm gonna say
It's
yes.
25 minutes until she said they needed to get on the bus, so.
Oh, okay. So we got a couple of minutes left.
Couple.
Looks good. All right, so we'll put it back over here. Place on top of, oh, put your blade on there, yep. Perfect. And then you can place that up here. You really gotta, like, you're listening for it to cut through all those layers of fabric.
You could really hear it too.
Yeah, you really could. Probably won't have to work as hard as I did with just the 3 layers on there. Any more? Oh, well, you did it. You did it.
Yeah, there you go.
See? Is that good? Yeah, I think so. So go ahead and lift up. It at least cut through 1.
I think it did at least 2.
We got all 3.
I was gonna say, I heard them.
We got an applause. We got an applause. And it looks like the 3 of them are pretty well lined up,
Nice.
too. So, next step, you put the button back in that. You can get down here, Regan.
My button makers are for this kind of button, but the process is similar.
The tool is the same, though, too. So you can get dies that make buttons like this for this press. This press also will cut grommets. It'll put snaps on. It'll press anything into anything, basically. It's just a pusher. It just presses stuff. But all of the dies are like $1 million. I don't know if I would have a button press had I not found like a bunch of materials online and basic market.
If you're just joining us, if you could spam that like button
Oh, perfect.
and
Yes,
give us lots and lots
so
of
that
hearts
goes upside down on there.
and push us into the algorithm,
Great.
we'd love
and then
that.
you just slam it.
Like that.
Maybe a little harder. Perfect. Yeah, let's try that. So that one is less pressure and more just like a hard punching it in there. Perfect.
So
Yay!
now close.
Yeah, looks good.
Button check. Alright. We'll put this here. Button back goes in here. And we'll just keep going, Regan, after they go.
Okay.
And we'll just finish getting everything ready.
Okay, I just have to leave here by like 1:15.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah. We'll just keep going until you get them going.
Pick the kiddo up from school.
The majority of my clients when I was running a fab shop were interior designers. We worked almost exclusively with them after we got into a brick and mortar. And what they found is that there are barely any upholsterers in the state of Michigan. They were previously getting their upholstery services from Chicago or New York or Illinois. Like, they were getting them from surrounding states, but there was no place in the state. So after we started doing it, we became like a one-stop shop for them. So we did their metalwork, their woodwork, their upholstery. So if you guys get into doing interior design, if you can do upholstery or know upholsterers, that's like a prime resource to have.
Man, wouldn't it be great to like team up with each other?
Yes, we would.
Right?
We should design some stuff. That's really cool. That looks awesome. And I always like to just test the buttons by giving them a tug to make sure that they don't come undone. But these look great. And so these are going to go on this fabric.
Wow, look how cool that's gonna be.
It's like the same color purple.
That's gonna be cool.
Yeah, that'll be neat.
Love that.
So the only thing left to do for us, and Regan and I will finish doing that, is cutting the foam and the batting for these things. But when we are at Maker Girl Mania, everyone who attends will be attaching the foam, attaching the batting, using a stapler, wrapping the fabric, putting in the buttons, and hopefully there'll be chairs in 3 different stages. So there'll be one like completely bare, and then one that's got all the foam and batting, and then one that still needs to be taken apart.
Excellent, that'll be great, we'll just keep
Yeah, we'll just
rounding
keep it in a
through.
circle. It'll be cool.
Let's see, let's check our time. Alright, so it's about 10 after, we have about 20 minutes, is there anything that we should be cleaning up or taking apart, or?
No, because we're just gonna keep working on this.
Okay,
After you guys
does
go.
anybody else wanna try doing a button?
Well, yeah, we
Yes,
got
Laura
here.
is.
Yeah, she's already there. If you guys want to make buttons, we already have materials cut over.
All right, I'm gonna try to get. They want a close up of the button process, so I'm gonna try to get as close as I
So
can.
that does go there, but the button
already
back goes in this part. This one. Yep, and the eyelet side down goes in that little hole down there. Perfect.
Okay.
Good. And so then this, your plunger, you hold it upside down. Perfect.
Then you put the fabric in.
Yep, face side
Yeah.
down. Yep, perfect. Oh, we're gonna put that just flat on top first.
Yep.
Because we're gonna push this button top in there.
You don't want my finger in there?
Well, you're gonna put your finger in there with the button. That'll make it easier to get the button in there. Perfect.
It's
Yeah.
crooked.
That's okay. You still have time. You still have time
Okay,
to
I
push
got
it
it.
down.
I
Do you
got
need
it.
this? Oh, you
No.
got it. So then that goes, will all the material come up around? Perfect. Face down on top of the button press here. Yep, and it fits just like a puzzle. And then you really just start slamming that down as hard as you can. Watch out, everyone.
Oh, sure.
It's more of a slam, less of a push. So yeah, perfect. So when you're cutting the fabric, it's a push of pressure until you can feel it cutting through. With the button, it's like a hammer. You're just like chunk, like hammering it down.
Go.
Very cool. Okay, who's next? We got a couple more buttons we can make. You want to make one? All right. So this is the button back. This goes in here with the eyelet side down.
Like this?
Yes. And then this is the plunger. You'll hold that in your hand because you want to let this dangle. You want gravity to hold that down because you won't be able to push your button in otherwise. Then this goes the fabric with the face down.
To the person who suggested bolting the clamp down to the table, you must have missed the note that we cannot.
This shop doesn't belong to me. I can't do that. So I have to clamp this down to the table, which is inconvenient in so many ways. But I borrow space at my local maker space. Perfect. Yep. And then you put it face down on top. Perfect. This won't come out more. I need to fit that in there. And then you slam that down like a hammer as hard as you can. I think you could do it just like there. Perfect. There we go. You can feel it after that. So then this comes off. And you have a magic little button.
Very nice.
Man, I should have you guys come here all the time. So much labor. Okay, who's next? Button back and the button front. So the button back goes the eyelet side down inside that.
Not only does she save a lot of money doing it that way, she has access to so many tools.
Yes. And that goes there.
There's a wood shop, a metal shop, all kinds of cutters.
There's a CNC in every room of the shop. CNC router, CNC plasma cutter, CNC embroidery machines, CNC lasers, CNC 3D printers.
Can I press it out?
Sometimes starting it with your finger might make it easier, but definitely the Sharpie helps to do it more evenly because it covers more area over surface area. Yeah, good. And then face down, and then slam it real hard and quick. Perfect. Yeah, I think I bet you that did it.
Look bad.
Nice. All right, who's next? I'm gonna put another clamp on here just to be safe. Are we good? No more buttons? You guys want a button?
Gosh, Ben, you guys don't want to do buttons?
I'm here.
All right, cool.
Back
Well,
in the-
that's all I got for you guys today. You can remove more samples if you want. So, some of you guys will be at the event?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right. Well, this will be what you're helping me with. I'll have all the materials and everything cut already, so it'll just be assembly after that.
And for those of you who have me as the teacher, well, you're all my students, so guess what? You can get extra credit for being meeting at Maker Girl.
Ooh.
I do it like 3 times.
3 times. Ripple. Poor Emily. Spent so much time with me.
This will be my first time doing it. I know MakerWorks has done a lot of stuff in the
Yeah, they were with us from the very beginning, and they brought out their pinewood. Well, it's like pinewood derby cars, right? They're like the styrofoam cars. I think they call it the Great Maker Race.
The makerspace that we operate out of is called MakerWorks. It is in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
We have little buttons that flash. They have our little symbol.
It's
on it.
really neat.
And that's equally as impressive. I love watching the little 5-year-olds getting to learn how to solder.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
It is. I took the soldering class with them. I made a little Cthulhu button. Like it was
Yeah.
It was really fun. That is one I had never soldered before.
Right.
Ever. And it was so easy.
What a great tool to have in your pocket when you're older, too, to know how to be able to solder.
Yep, MakerWorks.
Yeah. For you guys, after these guys leave, we'll do another tour of the shop so you guys can see the whole maker space and see the space that I use here. I just pay a monthly membership to access all of the areas of the shop, but I also rent space, this classroom in particular, to teach my workshops, to do my TikTok lives, and to store my giant toolbox. They do let me store a couple of things here, but I gotta pay for it.
Kim, if you could give the kids any advice before we head out on things that they may want to consider if they are planning to pursue something in upholstery, either as a full-time job, as an adult when they get up, or now.
Now is a good
just a
time to
little, side job if they wanted to start making money on their own. What would be some pearls of wisdom you can give the students?
So I truly believe that anybody can learn how to do this. If you can put a recipe together, like cook something, then you can do upholstery because it's just following a bunch of steps. I taught myself how to do this by reverse engineering it. So I took lots of pictures and lots of video as I took things apart because I didn't understand how they were put together. And through doing that over and over and over again, I started to become familiar with how frames are built to be able to apply fabric. Working with contractors, I learned that most contractors don't know how to build for upholstery. There's a specific way that things are engineered to hide your work on fabric. So take pictures, take video. You don't have to wait. You don't have to have a formal education to do this. You can just start getting into it now. But my suggestion is to get into it, to put your hands on it, take it apart, break it, destroy it, do whatever you got to do to figure out how it works. Because in and of itself, all this really is wrapping a piece of fabric around something and stapling it. And if you learn all the tricks and techniques to making that look clean and cool, you can make a ton of money, because a chair like this in a professional upholstery shop probably starts at about $1,200. In my shop, because I don't have an overhead and I teach students and students work on it with me, I charge $400 to $500 for one of these things. But Rendell's Upholstery does chairs for $3,000, and it doesn't even include the cost of fabric. Wow. And that's something that you don't have to have an education to do. And most designers, I'll tell you, could care less how long you've even been doing it. If they could see your work and see that you're doing it. We had designers, I was
We are in Michigan.
selling projects the first year that I taught myself how to do this. And I didn't really know a lot about it at the time. But the designers knew that I was new, and they knew that I was cheap, so they would give me small-scale projects that I could practice on and build my skill level up to so that they could give me larger projects. After the first year, we were doing primarily commercial stuff, which was building seating for restaurants and wine bars and all kinds of stuff. We were just changing the landscape of the city of Detroit and Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti with the stuff that we were designing and putting. We were doing the designing too. So we would do the SketchUp designs and everything for the interior designers. So we got to put our hands in the design industry, manufacturing industry, metalwork, woodwork, upholstery. It was a lot of fun, and we, my husband had education, but I had zero education going into it.
I did have another question. I noticed that you have, I've seen this kind of going viral, the
Rep
making,
testing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of a fun
It is fun.
activity.
Yeah, it is fun. We should all come together and do that activity sometime. So my kids got me one of those when they started going viral on TikTok the first time, the rub tufting gun. It's basically an automatic needle that like goes back and forth and pushes the yarn through the fabric, then it snips it off, and then comes back through, pushes it through and snips it off. It comes through cut off like that. So it's basically like a coloring book, but with yarn, and you're just like drawing pictures with it to color it. It's very cool. It's a lot of fun. I could do it all day long. I don't have a ton of skill in doing it, but that's another thing that anyone can step into and do it. It's just learning the thread tension and the pressure that you have to push on it to get it to go right, and then just practicing it until you get good.
What's the kind of material? Could you use any material for the backing?
No, so this is a monk's cloth, and this is a tightly woven cotton, but this comes in synthetic materials too, like a plastic. This is from Joann Fabric, so it's easy for me to get my hands on, and I prefer to build my frames big so I can make big projects, and it comes wide enough to go on. A lot of these materials come in like 42-inch widths or like less, so I wouldn't be able to get a 4-foot by 8-foot frame out of it like I do this one. But this is like $13 a yard at Joann Fabrics, and it's called monk's cloth. But I think the plastic synthetic stuff holds up better. You can see where this like frays and stuff after going through it.
Kim, can you give us another little thing on virtual upholstery classes? We've got some people that want to know.
So I teach both in-person classes and virtual workshops. So you can come in here 4 days a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday if you're coming from out of town. It's a good way to like do the weekend. But I also teach live virtual upholstery workshops where you're working with me directly for 3 hours on your project. You can have zero experience whatsoever, come into any class at any stage, and I'll walk you through from start to finish. And those are up on the link in my bio. There's links for all kinds of stuff there. I even have a program called the Sponsor Student Program where a client who doesn't want to pay full cost of materials can hire a student, and they pay for the cost of classes and materials, and the students like Regan get to come and make the thing, and they get to take the classes for free, and they get to build up their upholstery experience level that way.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And Regan's already taken clients, yeah?
Yeah.
You have some clients?
Yeah, I'm right in the middle of a big project right now.
You've been doing this with me for about a year?
About a year now, yeah.
Where do you guys store your projects when you're not using them here? Do you just take them home and
I have a storage unit.
Okay, I would imagine it's got to be pretty big, right?
My storage unit is 30 foot by 40 foot, and it is full of stuff I collect from the trash. Yes, I have a lot
Yeah.
of stuff.
Once you start getting into this, you start checking every trash pile ever and ending up with way too much furniture that you could never get around to.
You can't take me to a restaurant because I will tear. I'm like, how does this come off the wall?
Yeah.
How do they attach this? I'm constantly taking stuff apart.
Kids, how about we start gathering up our stuff, say thanks to Kim and Regan, and
Thanks for your help, guys.
let's make sure we sanitize or wash our hands on the way out. And
There's some hand sanitizer right there.
perfect, and then we can just have our lunch on the bus.
There's bathrooms too.
Thank you very much. I'll be back in touch.
This was fascinating.
If you've enjoyed this live so far and you haven't yet, if you could tap the screen a bunch of times to get us hearts and likes so that we can be out in the algorithm and teach lots of other people how to learn upholstery. And also, if you've been enjoying this and you want to learn more, we do have a Facebook group that you can join that has tons of different levels of experience from beginners to experts. It is called Local Upholstery Club. The link is in the bio, in her link tree.
I think Jim would be really good at this too. My husband was a tool and die maker for over 20 years, and I think
I wouldn't let my husband touch it because he's good at everything he does. I want him to be good at it.
I can appreciate that. I really can.
He can be good at everything else.
Also, if you're enjoying this content, Kim goes live every Tuesday to do Tutorial Tuesday, so you can learn all kinds of things from her right here on her page. Go ahead and follow Loco, and you'll be alerted of those videos.
Will go up on YouTube too, and I'll send you the raw footage. So if you want to take stuff from it.
Yeah, to people who are out of town, I see that you say you want to join in person. There are tons of cute little hotels in the area, and you could stay and you could do classes 4 days in a row. You could do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and depending on the project, you might be able to finish it in that amount of time.
so cool. And I love about the fabric store too. Yeah. Well, would they get my mom?
We are located in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Like lime green fluorescent pink flames, which is that's my favorite color.
I have a Hoosier that used to be at the Holly Hotel. And
Yeah, have a good day.
redid it. Yeah. Well, it would be great if you get to finish rebuilding it from the fire. That's been such a mess. But lovely, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Ladies are fantastic.
Thank you so much. It was nice to meet all of you. We'll see you later. All right, guys. What do we got? We got any more questions? Because we're going to do a tour.
I think I've answered most of the questions.
All right.
I think we're good.
So this is the maker space that I work out of. My house is too small to do upholstery on my own. I closed my business a couple of years ago. I used to have an 11,000 square foot shop, and now I have a 0,000 square foot shop. But I'm lucky enough to live in an area that has a maker space, which is basically like a gym membership, but for tools. So you pay a monthly fee, and you get access to 14,000 square foot of space, plus all of the tools they have here. So I'll take you guys for a little bit of a tour around so you can see what it is I have to work with here. I pay a very low monthly fee, but I pay the top end fee that they have, which is $210 a month for all access to the shop, which means I get keys to the shop and I can come in here and go whenever I want. I can be here at 3 in the morning, I can be here at 8 in the morning, I can be here 7 days a week, regardless if anybody is working here or not, because I pay top tier membership. If you've ever owned your own brick and mortar before, $210 a month for access to the kind of tools I'm about to show you whenever you want is a ridiculous price.
Yeah.
I mean, every day I'm like, you need to charge more money for that, because that's nuts. But it's a really cool resource for the communities, and it's a really cool resource for businesses, particularly businesses that make things, because they might not get access to a $50,000 CNC router or even be able to fit something like that in their garage. So this is the conference room. So this is an all-purpose classroom. This is where I teach my classes out of. I keep my tools and everything here because I teach my classes 4 days a week, and we have anywhere from 6 to 12 people who are here each one of those days working on projects, so it brings a lot of traffic in through the website. So they let me set up shop in a little corner so I can hang out a lot more often. I'm going to take you guys around to the front first, and your glasses are probably fine for the wood shop that we're in there, because we're not going to be doing any wood stuff.
Okay.
So I'll keep my glasses on too.
Somebody wants to know, do they require a class on each tool before you can use it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. They do require classes on a lot of the tools because, one, the tool is expensive and hard to use, and they don't want you to break it, but two, a lot of the tools are very dangerous, and they don't want to set you loose on them until you're comfortable with using them. Executive Director Josh Williams over here is showing Mike Captain something or two on the computer. We're live on TikTok, guys, so we're showing everybody around the maker space that we use. So this is the common room that's up front here, and we have our 3D printers up here. We also have these computers right here, which have just about every design program you can imagine on it. We've got VCarve, we've got Inkscape, Illustrator, what's the Fusion 360?
360, yep.
Yep.
Yeah, basics out of Adobe.
Anything you need to run a CNC machine, like any kind of design program that you would need to design for CNC, we have here. Common room where you can work on your projects here or work on the computers. This way we have the jewelry studio. And this is like, when you're doing small scale metal work. We have, I believe this is a CNC mill and lathe for jewelry, and it does 360 degrees around. So, you know, the CNC router that just carves 2D and 3D in the wood, this does like circles, like everything around.
Fancy.
And it does it to metal and not, you know, small pieces. Okay. We have where you can do wax, centrifugal wax casting. You can do metal sand casting. So we have pewter set up here, but you can also do silver, gold. I don't know if you can do copper. I don't know anything about metal, you guys. I really don't. Kiln right here. I'm going to be making most of this up as I go along. We got Lily and Poppy, our shop mascot.
Yeah.
And Alice.
Oh.
Another one.
I haven't seen that one before. It's so cute.
Alice, come here.
Come here. She's like, she can be shy. I was hoping we could get a nice dog running at the camera.
We'll get him. This area is the electronics area. I think this is a wind tunnel that they're working on fixing right now. That they're gonna
Yeah,
have
that's what they were
some of the
asking me
kids'
about. I
stuff.
was like, I think so, but I don't know anything about this stuff.
That's what that is. This is a CNC circuit board cutter, so you can cut your own circuit boards, which is really cool.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah. And then if we come through this area, if you guys have ever heard of a Cricut vinyl cutter, this is like vinyl cutting area, so we have our heat presses. But we have a large format vinyl cutter, which is just like a Cricut, except for it does bigger rolls. We have the rolls here, so you don't even have to have your own material. You can purchase material here.
Nice.
These are the most popular areas of the shop, which are our lasers. You can come look inside. Our laser cutters, they cut through material. They also engrave material. On the walls here we have, here on this side, all of the different types of material you can cut, and then it even shows you the settings to set the machine to. If you can send a file to print, you can use this machine.
That's awesome.
It's like the only requirement. These are the different types of materials that you can cut with that. We have paper, we've got wood, we've got plastic, we've got glass, we've got metal.
I need to take a class on this one.
Look at this. Like, seriously, so many things. This bin here is scrap material, so you can use this for free. You can come use this. Imagine if you were doing, like, Etsy jewelry and stuff.
Oh my
You would
gosh,
just come in here and grab. I would just make so much stuff. Heat glue gun station. We have Anka over here from Elefina Bags making some bags in the textile
Ooh, I love it.
area.
I know, I love this area.
Regular sewing machines plus industrial sewing machines.
I love the embroidery machine.
CNC embroidery machine. I have yet to learn how to use that, but I want to learn how to use
Yeah,
that.
that's on my list. I have like a bunch of tabs pulled up on my phone of
Yeah.
different classes that I need to take. So
This is the one. They have one today at 1:30. I think you can take one here. Serger, which I just recently learned how to use. That was fun. Down this
See?
hallway,
Oh, hi, you're gonna say
there's
hi now?
Alice.
hi.
There's Alice.
Oh, you're sweet.
She is a sweet, sweet. Oh
my God. Puppies make everything better.
She's so polite.
Aw.
So outside of having access to space and access to the tools, they have some office areas here that they rent out to small businesses. So that's what these rooms are here. So they pay
Middle Earth.
Yeah, they pay a little bit more than I do because they get to have their own space here. But these are all different businesses that run out of here. For the most part, they store stuff here.
I love it.
Is Bailey here? So this is Alan's room. You can see what he's got stored in here.
Oh my goodness.
So these are members that are here all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like they run their business out of here 24/7.
That's awesome.
We've got another one over here. Through the back here is like additional storage space. So if you're working on a project, you can rent space to store it here. These areas are like free storage space. They'll let you store stuff for free up to a certain amount of time, and then they start charging you by the week, I think. But that's where you can sort of see everybody's projects stored up. Through this direction is our metal shop, which is one of the most impressive areas of the shop. And if you're not into metal, you have absolutely no idea what is going on in
Yeah,
here.
that's
So we
me.
have CNC mills and lathes. These are all computer-operated machines. Wow. We have regular mills and lathes on this side, drill presses, band saws. Back in this corner here, this is my favorite toy. I used to have one of these in my shop. It was 5 foot by 8 foot table. This is a CNC plasma cutter. If you can send a file to print, you can send a file to this machine to cut it. This works just like a Cricut vinyl cutter, except for with metal. You can see some of the metal signs up here on the wall. So this machine will cut any design you can think of out of metal, and then you can like weld stuff together. My husband and I had one of these, and the first run of things we did to calibrate the machine is we sold address plates,
Oh.
like $25 address plates. $10,000 machine. We paid for it in the first 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah. If you can get one of these in your garage, it's a good investment to
Yeah.
make stuff. Because you can make wall decor, signs, all kinds of stuff with that. That's why we got it, because we were making a lot of signs for the commercial. Welding area over this direction. And then, of course, all these metal tools this way.
So all the people that are watching this thinking they don't have one in their area and this is amazing. First of all, you might. You should probably just search. But also, I drive an hour away to get here to work with Kim because this place is so awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. A lot of people travel to this one too. There are over 1,000 maker spaces in the United States, so probably you have one within a couple hours distance of you. And even if you're only just going for a class, or to learn a special skill, they probably have a program for you there where you can learn it, and it's worth the drive. If you're local to one, it's even better because you can come whenever you feel like it. Most of my students travel an hour or more to come to my class, and that's because nobody teaches upholstery anywhere. I have had people travel from 18 different states to come out here either for my 3-hour-long classes, or I do weekend upholstery retreats in the spring and summer as well. So through this way is our powder coating machine, which I don't know why they've got these boxes. Any time you see metal that's painted like this, it's probably powder coating. And what that is it means that the metal is electrified. We hook these electrical units up here. Static electricity draws the powder. This is all like a powder pigment in here. You can look in here. It's just powder. It blows that powder onto the metal. The electricity makes it stick temporarily, and then we put it in a high temperature oven, and it fuses it together like an enamel paint. So it's like the strongest finish you can put on paint. It's an expensive tool, and if you don't, like, powder coating is a service that is usually provided for like large part manufacturers. If you call a powder coating service place, you probably can't get your personal projects powder coated very easily. So it's nice to have one on hand, because when you're doing small stuff or one-off projects, then you don't need to hire a manufacturing company to do it for you. This is the most popular area of the shop, which is the wood shop. One of my favorite areas of the shop because of that tool right here in the corner, which is a CNC router. And we also have a saw stop table saw. You should look at this over here. A saw stop table saw has a special brake on the saw that it detects electricity conductors, and if it is touched by an electricity conductor like your finger, it stops immediately. So it will not cut through your hands. If your hand touches it, you won't even get a paper cut. It'll just stop immediately.
That's crazy.
I suggest you Google it. Saw stop table saw hot dog. Google that. It's weird, but it's weird. If you look on this side of the window, you can see how many hands we saved through that mechanism.
Oh my god.
So this prevents somebody from really seriously injuring themselves. So table saw is arguably the most dangerous tool in the wood shop, and that's because it can kick back and send material flying at you, or jump to make your hand fall into that blade. A lot of men who work in the woodworking industry are missing digits on their fingers because of this. We have miter saw. I think it's also a real arm saw. Planers, jointers. This is my favorite tool. It's a CNC router. This is what I made my cicada table carving with. I got that table for free because it was in the trash, and I just carved the design in it. And you can send a file to print. You can use this machine. It does stuff like this, like 3D designs, like this.
Oh, that's cool.
Cutouts like this. It'll do like engravings. It's made all of the stuff that's cut out in here is cut out from this machine. Glue-up table, saws, clamps. We have a wood lathe over here too with blanks for you to work on. And they have classes to teach all of this stuff too. So you can come and learn any of this stuff without any experience, without being a member. You don't have to be a member to utilize the resources. Oh, that's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really cool stuff. So that's the whole shop.
And they do day passes too, don't they?
They do. You can come here for the day. I think a day pass is $45, and I think like a monthly pass is only like $65.
Yeah.
So that's how they get you. So then we just end up back in the classroom again. To the mess that I made in here.
Full circle.
Full circle.
For those asking where we're located, you want to tell them?
So I teach my classes from my local makerspace, MakerWorks, here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I teach classes 4 days a week. Fridays from 6 to 9 p.m., Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., Sundays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., and Mondays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if you're traveling and you come out here for the weekend, you can take all 4 classes. All my classes are buy 3, get 1 free, so you would pay for the 3, get the 4th free. 4 classes is $225. My weekend retreats are $2,000. So if you want to come for a quick weekend upholstery camp with me, then you can sign up for those 4 classes and you come out here. If you're not local or you can't make it out here, I do also teach virtual upholstery workshops. So I teach virtual upholstery workshops on Monday evenings and on Saturday afternoons from 2 to 5. So you can join me then. It's not in person, it's via Zoom, but it's in front of me. So you bring your project to the table via Zoom, and then I work with you for 3 hours step by step, taking it from start to finish. And you're not likely to finish one project in a 3-hour class, right?
Right.
Did we learn a little bit about that, Regan? Mm-hmm. Yes, we are not going to blow through a complicated upholstery project in 3 hours. Likely you're going to need more than one class, which is why I make them buy 3, get 1 free. And it's also why I make them bring a friend free. So your friend can work on your project with you. You can get the project work done twice as fast. And you can make them pull most of the staples so that you don't have to do that yourself.
Unless you like to do it.
Unless you're into it.
Somebody asked, do you have a website?
I do have a website, and so you can reach my website through the link in my bio, lullco.co, lullco.co, and you can access my upholstery workshops through there. You can buy my furniture through there. You can sign up for weekend upholstery camps through there. There are a lot of great resources for students on my website so that you can learn tutorials or tool lists or things of that nature. I also sell professional upholstery products on my website, like the ones that are right behind here. Yeah. So if you have trouble getting your hands on professional upholstery foam, high density foam, which is not the same that you find at Joann Fabrics or Michael's, by the way, not the same kind of foam. Typically you have a hard time getting it from a wholesaler if you don't have a business, if you don't have an EIN or a DBA. You can buy these same materials that you would get at a wholesaler from me at a discounted rate on my website, but to tell you when you're ordering foam from my website, this is how big it comes.
Yeah.
So the length of it is, I think, 82 inches in length, and they come anywhere from like 30-inch wide, 24-inch wide, 48-inch wide, or 60-inch wide. The batting looks like this. It's the same size as me. So you have to have a place to store this stuff. But if you're doing a lot of upholstery projects and you want to save money, one of these is cheaper than a couple of feet of this at Joann Fabrics. So you can get one of these for like less than $100 and you can use it on multiple projects. So if you're doing multiple projects, it's sort of worth buying it in bulk in that way. How's it looking? Good?
Good.
All right, guys.
Your phone's at 10%, so.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap this up. I got nothing else to keep you busy anyways, but while I'm here rambling on for the last couple seconds, if you can violently tap the screen as much as possible until that little heart shows up in the upper left-hand corner. Am I in the right direction?
Yes, you are.
So a little heart's going to show up here with a meter on it, and it's going to run itself to the end. When it gets to the end, it throws you a party. So just violently tap on that screen until it throws you a party. We'll see how many likes we can get before we get out of here. But before we get out of here, my name is Kim. I teach upholstery. I am here on Tuesdays live from about 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.-ish, sometime in between that time. Today is a shorter day because we had special guest Maker Girl Mania. So you can learn from me for free every Tuesday. I also have a group on Facebook called the Local Upholstery Club, which is a free group you can join. If you're working on a project from home and you get stuck, you can make a post, you can tag me in it, and I will answer your questions for you. I'm not the only professional in that group, although it is my group. There are professionals who have been doing this for decades in that group, and they're all happy to help answer your questions. It's a really open, caring, an empowering environment full of pros and non-pros who are going to help boost and elevate your confidence as opposed to criticize you and pull you down. I find that the professional upholstery industry isn't very welcoming to people who are learning how to do this themselves, and they're also not very willing to teach you how to do this. So I just want to bypass that whole culture and environment and show you that you can learn how to do this. You don't need to pay someone. You don't need to pay me how to do it. There's a free group for you to get support. There are online tutorials all over the place. I'm here to help walk you through step by step if you need hands-on support, and I try to make those opportunities as accessible as possible. So when you're learning from me, it's always live. I don't do pre-recorded tutorials, although this video will get put on YouTube raw in its entirety as a live uncut video that you can watch and go back and watch the questions that I answered. Everything that you learn from me, you're learning in person so that you can ask questions from me the entire time. So in-person workshops, virtual workshops, free classes on Tuesdays, Tutorial Tuesdays here on TikTok, or you can join my group on Facebook and learn for free from a ton of people that way. That's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for joining. I had a really good time, Regan. Thanks for being the admin here and asking the questions and holding the camera. I appreciate your help. We're going to sign off for the day. How many likes did we get?
19.6 thousand. Well, 19.7 thousand. It just
Let's
went
get
up.
to 20,000 real quick.
They're still
Just
tapping. So if you're not tapping, can you start tapping so that way? See, we're up to 19.8. We're so close.
Yeah, really close. Tap, 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 tap. We're just a couple more taps and we'll get to 20,000.
20,000. We got it. We're good. I forgot we're not.
Yeah, I do that all the time too. I'll sign off this way.
You think I didn't know how to
So
use
we did
TikTok
it.
at all?
Oh, I can't see with this. Where do you buy the supplies? From my website. That's where you buy the supplies. So you can get upholstery supplies on my website. I go through my vendor active phone, but you need to have an EIN number. You need to have a business to get wholesale pricing from them. You can order from their website without having an EIN, but you can order through me for a slight discount because I do get the wholesaler discount, and everything you buy over $100 is free shipping, so it'll come right to your door. If you have questions about materials, I'm happy to answer them for you. My email address is also on the link in my bio, so you can send me pictures of your project. You can ask me questions through there. Thank you guys so much. We got over 20,000 likes. I think that's pretty impressive. Yeah? Thanks for joining me today. I'll be back next Tuesday, or you can join the group or join anything else and get information from me there. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.